Okay, this video is called At the DMV and Becoming a Writer. So what this is about is, a couple things. Mostly about becoming a writer, but at the DMV, I went recently to renew my license, and the lady asked me, so what's your phone number? I said, I don't know. She's like, what do you mean you don't know your phone number? I said, well, I don't have a phone. And she says, okay, fine. What's your home address? I said, I don't know my home address. She goes, you don't know your home address? I said, I could find it. Let me check my cards, So I found my driver's insurance card, and I've got it in there. Okay, but what I'm getting at is one of the secrets of trying to achieve something or become a writer is you need to make your life really simple, or you don't have time for anything. Because especially, you got a regular job, you're working to make money. This is when I got fat in my early to mid 30s, and then I couldn't lose the weight for 3 years. In order to lose the weight, I went and I went and moved to a new house. And the new house was something, I bought it a certain way, and I also designed parts of it. And I lost all the weight. I got really skinny. I went from as fat as 220 pounds down to as skinny as 154 pounds. And here I am working in the pool. The new house had a big in-ground pool. I used to love to swim for exercise. I'll show you some of the other things that happened over there. Let's see, where did I get the talk here? And then I had this big, I kind of built this net behind it, but I had a tennis wall and a basketball court, and it's actually a whole basketball court. So we could go in the backyard and play tennis. Friends and family were playing tennis in the backyard, full court basketball, swimming. There was a big animal enclosure. At one time we had chickens in there, then we had turtles in there, then we had rabbits, we had geese. Whenever friends and family would come over, if they had dogs, we could put the dogs in the animal enclosure. The yard had a big fence around it. It was great. There's a giant jungle gym for the kids. One of the indoor bedrooms, I converted it into a racquetball court, and we really liked it. Everybody really liked it, but over time, my wife was getting progressively pissed off. All of these things are going to come together and make sense in a moment, but I just have to provide the backstory for it to make sense. And she wasn't that thrilled about us always hitting tennis balls or playing basketball out there in the first place. In a deep sense, if you could be like whoever you wanted to be, I think my wife would like to be Martha Stewart, kind of this like stuck-up aristocratic female. Versus me, I wish I had free time to write more books and do more research because I'm still working full time. So I do what I can to free up time. And this is all going to make sense in a moment here. Okay, so what happened was, I came home from work one day and my kid says to me, he says, Dad, you're a bad parent. And I said, why am I a bad parent? And he says, because all you ever do is work. You don't help me with basketball. The other boy's dad's a coach of the team. The other boy's dad practices with him. All you do is work. You and Mom, all you guys do is work. And I'm like, all right, buddy, well, let me think about it. So while my wife was at work, I knew she would never say yes. But while she was out at work, I had a carpenter friend came in and we boarded up the windows. The living room was being used for storage. And so I made it into a basketball court. I brought a basketball net in there, moved all the furniture out. We had other places to put it. And we played basketball in there. The kids loved it. All their friends would come over. Everybody's playing basketball. And also, you got to remember, too, I'd also converted already an upstairs bedroom into a racquetball court. And then I had the basement at that time. I had a wrestling mat for training with wrestling. I also had a big weight room for lifting weights in the basement. So it was like a gymnasium, this house. And like I said, the backyard was huge, like an acre. You could run sprints. You could do all kinds of things. There was a hill. I loved it. It was the perfect place to exercise. I lost all the weight. I was really happy. The kids were really happy. Friends and family would come over. Everybody loved it. But my wife hated it. And when I made the basketball court out of the living room, she went apeshit bananas. And she said, you're ruining the house. You're breaking the foundation, dribbling the basketball. You're lowering the property value. This house is a disgrace. How can we ever have company over when the house looks like this? This is not an effing gymnasium. This is a house. So she was very upset about it, and she even went and decided to buy another house, and I was given an ultimatum. Either come with me to the new house, or we're getting divorced and you stay with the old house and the old kids. And so I really wanted to keep the old house. I love the old house, but I felt, it's best for the kids that I stay with her, because I know kids tend to be much better off if they have both parents raising them. And this was many years ago now. It was about 11 years ago, I think. And so I agreed to go through the new house even though I didn't want to because I knew the old house would take too much time. And I maintained everything in the new house. I used to cut the grass with a push mower, no motor, no gas. And I used to pay all the bills on the old house, maintain the pool. It took a lot of my time. And I was willing to do it even though I was working long hours. I was sort of also changing from being mostly a surgeon, which I started out early in my career, to mostly being a neuroradiologist, which is what I mostly do now. I still do some old surgery. I still do some body imaging, general radiology and whatnot, but I mostly do neuroradiology. All right, so anyways, the reason I'm showing you this is once I agreed to go to my wife's new house, which, by the way, I don't like. I think it's totally stupid. It's totally a female house in the sense that if you look at it, you go, gee, it looks nice. But if you're a guy, there's no basketball. There's no tennis court. There's no racquetball court. There's no indoor basketball court. I mean, there's not a lot of stuff to do to exercise. I still got a wrestling mat and a weightlifting area, but it's nothing like the old place. So I really missed that house, which was unique. It was great. But, you know, whenever you hit a setback in life, you ask yourself, well, what can I make a good of it, you know? So what I found is because, you know, women in general, I think, are kind of house proud. A woman wants her house to look nice. Women always pretend they don't show off, but they do. They like their house to look nice. They want to show that off. And because it was her decision to move to the new house, and I really didn't want to be there, she's in charge of everything. She pays all the bills. She manages all of the property. I don't do anything. If the dog craps on the floor, I will never pick it up. Okay? And the reason that's relevant is in order to write, you need big blocks of time where you just sit down and think and crank out a book, crank out a YouTube video, whatever it might be. So the point is, and people sometimes say, well, why didn't you divorce your wife? I would have divorced her and all that. I say, well, now she's kind of like a secretary and a landlord. I just write her one check a month. I don't have to pay any bills. I don't have to do anything, which frees me up to write and to think. And I'm just going to show you, like, here's just one page out of my Amazon author page. Here's 15 books. And I've written and done a bunch of other stuff besides what's here. But just to give you a sense of it, where would a full-time working physician, and I work long hours, where would I find time to write all these books? It's because I'm freed up by my wife from not having to do this stuff. And don't get me wrong, it's very nice to be sort of young and in love. You know, sort of the happiest days of my life, I think some of them were when I was young and in love, you know, originally with my first love and then with my wife. You know, I was very happy. In the beginning, it was great. But that's why. Because the older you get, the more complicated male-female relationships become. You know, high school girlfriend, you like each other or you don't, you break up or you stay together, fine. There's nothing involved. But when you're older, there's a million things involved. You got to manage your property, manage your house, drive, commute. It's complicated. So anyways, so that's why I'm grateful to my wife, because with her freeing up all my time, I don't need to know my phone number. I don't need to know my address. I don't need to do anything. I just need to work, write her a paycheck every month, and then I'm free to write books, make a YouTube channel, do the things that I want to do. Because as you get older, you really don't have much time. You got your job, which is going to take, let's say 8 hours a day, whatever it is with commuting as well. Then you got to sleep another 8 hours a day. And then you got your basic needs. You got to eat something, you know. So what's left, that little bit left, is the part that you have control over. And so that's the time for your hobby. And so having somebody who protects your time in a sense, like a secretary, that's a valuable thing. So anyways, that's how it worked out. And that's how people ask, you know, well, how could a full-time, long-hour working doctor, you know, write about 20 books and make a YouTube channel, you know, with thousands of videos? That's how. So anyways, I just thought that was a little funny about the DMV. My family finds that kind of stuff funny, that I might be complex in my thinking, but in the way I live, I'm pretty simple.